cheaper now, right? So let us write a single computer. Let us write a single program and try to understand that what happens in a program. What is the time complexity, and what is actually when you're writing a pseudocode, what happens. So let us say, okay, so let us write a program that is just earlier program only. Print yes. What is the lecture? CS Q0. And the CS Q0. I think no, let us write data structure. Yes. Okay. So this is a simple, basically again a simple code, and how its work is only printing one line. But let us say it's the output. Right? It's a output one line, and this code and this is our function actually. Let us say we put it as main function. And this program, so let us put a numbers also. Okay, so this is a very small piece of code where the function is very simple. That is main function, bracket open, this print ps, and this one 4. Output is 4. This is close one. Okay, so let us try to keep the output of the same. Okay, so whatever happens, this program will print only this one, right? This. So let us say this has 4 lines of code, right? One, two, three, four. I have also annotated each and every line. Okay. Now the thing is that let us say main function, whenever the compiler reads it, it takes 1 unit of time, one CPU cycle. Let us say it's a constant. Let us say it takes C1 CPU cycle. Okay, so this one is C1. Whenever it reads and execute this one, so this one is also C1. But whenever print DS, the CPU cycle, the number of times it may take, it is C2. So for each and every lines, for each and every code or for each and every keyword, there is a constant time that it takes to execute this one.
Hello, sir. So
Yeah,
sorry
one
to
second,
interrupt,
one
sir.
second, one second, one second. Tell me now.
So can I rejoin, sir? I'm having some voice issue.
Okay, please. So let us see that this function takes, so this lines of code takes C1, this one takes C1, this one takes C1, and this one takes C2. Okay. So total number of time it takes basically is basically C1, 3 times C1 and 1 time C2. But since print is a very heavy code, oh my god, why don't you join a first language? Okay. So whenever, so basically the time it takes is basically 3C1 plus C2. But C2 maybe it takes much more time because it's a printing code. So it may take it takes to the keyboard, then from basically from the basically not keyboard, basically it's basically the graphic processor and the monitor, so it takes much more time. So it is, so the maximum unit of time that is basically C2 takes is much more time, right? So very simple code, but let us say that C1 is very C1 is very controlled there. C1 is very less than C2 because C2 is the more time-taking operation. Printing is a much more time-taking operation. So the time-taking operation is basically C2. Okay, so we say the because of this one, we say so the actual time we say is basically is approximately equal to C2 only. I will not allow this one. Okay, so basically the time it takes basically is equal to basically C2 only. Now you understand. Okay, so we have to identify. So we have identified the statement which takes the maximum time, and it is the primary or basic statement. This I think we have now understood. So now let us say another statement. Now we will insert a for loop. I equal to 1 till n, and the input to this is int n. The main function is taking input n. Okay. Now in this case, what happens? Now this C2. Now again this. That's not allowed. So this one now, this print DS. Now how many times it will run? So how many times this EDS will be run? It will run how many times? N times, because the input is n. So it will be something approximately n times C2. Okay. It is approximately n times C2. Let us say another program. So basically it will print DS how many times? N times. Right, this program. Now this program, another program, let us write it down. For j equal to 1 till n. Okay, now you see that this program will run how many times? For each I, it will run n times. So it will run around how many times? So for each I, it means how much? N plus n. For how many times? N times. So it will be around n square time. That is n square time. So it will run some n square time. So if it is n is equal to 10, so it will run 10 into 10, 100 times. Okay. So the time complexity of this program will be something like that, n square to the power because it is depending upon this one. Okay, so for this one it will run n times, so it will be n into c2. Since there are two for loops of n times each, so it will be n square into c2. Now let us take this c2 also out. Okay, we'll say the time complexity is basically basically we can now understand that the time complexity is basically a function of the number of inputs. In this case, we say it is n. So the time complexity is basically n square, right? So it cannot be more than that. Now we are coming to the concept again. Now let us say for j equal to, let us say again n is, this is the input only. But again, this program will run from which angle? So I greater than 1, I equal to I by 2. So now the time complexity in this case will be how much? So the input is still n, but it will print how many times? So we have to understand that it will make print how many times, that we have already discussed in the next in the earlier class. But we have to understand how many times to run. If the input is n in here, so let us say it will print how many times to us. So let us say, or if the input is n, next time what it will do, let us say n is equal to 10. So next time it is, n will become half, right? I think you are looking at the code, you are understanding. And this is the printing operation, t n by 2. So this is also an operation, right? I equal to I by 2. I am making the system into half and checking it. N by 2. Let us put a number. Let us put a number that is in 10. And let us put a number as 10. Okay. So let us put this number as 10. Okay. So 10 by 2 plus 1. Or let us say, okay, T5. So this is how much? Equal to T5 plus 1. Okay. So this I value is represented within this T1. Okay. Now can this T5 be also broken? Yes, T5 can be broken based upon it is becoming always half. So it will become 5 by 2 is 2.5, but since it is an integer, it will become 2 plus 1 plus 1. That means it will print ds 2 times. Right. Can this T2 be also broken? Yes. T2. Okay, so Tn by 2, T5 plus 1. Okay, T again, it is again broken only. So it becomes T1 plus 3, 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 3. Right. So you see, now if I is equal to 1, now in this case I becomes equal to 1, right? Now this program will not run because I value should be always greater than 1, but it is, this I value is now 1 only. Have you understood this one? How many times the printing operations will take place? So I value is first 10, so it will become 10 by 2 plus 1. So first time it is printing ds. Okay, 1 ds. Then I value becomes 5. 5 is also still greater than 1. So it will again 25, so 55 by T2 plus 1 plus 1. Okay. So second time ds it becomes. T2 is also greater than 1, since it will again T1. So it will again print 1 plus 1 plus 1, that is 3 times ds. Right. So at a point, it will print 3 times. For n equal to 10, it will print 3 times. So how is this operation goes? So let us take the n be any random number. Okay. Now I'll break again p n by 2 into again 1. I'll add 1. N by 2 will become n by 4. Somebody's microphone is on. Please switch it off. Plus 2. At some point of time, the value will become n by 2 to the power I. Let us make I superscript. Plus I. Okay. So we understand that at this point 2 to the power I equal to 1, this program will not run anymore. Now this is basically n. This I value has become 1, and it is, since I is greater than 1, it will not run anymore. So what is this I value? So we have to understand that I, let us say 2 to the power I if we say it is become to, this value becomes 1. So n by 2 to the power I becomes 1, and at that point the program will not run. This program will not run. So what is the value of I in here? If we take 2 to the power I this side, so and take log of both sides, so I's value becomes basically log base 2 n. This will be substituted. So the time complexity in this case will be basically log base 2 n. I think I have made my point clear in here. So basically, one thing is for sure, the time complexity is dependent upon the number of inputs as per the examples are given. And for basically, again, let us understand that, so it's always basically a function of the input or the number or the size of the input. That is how the time complexity is counted. Okay. So I think now you have your understanding will be very clear. So if you have understood, just write yes, and if you have understood, no. If you have still not understood, write no, n o no. You can personally also chat me. So basically, if you have understood, if you have not understood, write no. Just write no. You won't write yes. Okay. Just write no. I have not understood. Okay. Now let us go again. So we know, so many of you have not understood. So it's basically a concept that is understood slowly. So basically, again, we see. So this is all our small fragments of code, right? These are basically small fragments of code. Now, when you are saying that main function, this the how many, now my question is how much time does it take this main function to run? I'll say it will just end in 1 second only. Okay, so let us say C2 is basically 1 second. 1. Its unit is C2 is basically equal to 1. How much will this take? Now it will DS will print how many times? N times, because it is for loop is running from I equal to 1 to N. So N C2, we have already said C2 is basically 1 second. So basically it will run for N times. So the function, so the time complexity of this one, or the basically that number of times it will take this much. If we take it as a function of N input, so it will run for N seconds, right? N seconds. Now there are two for loops. Now for I equal to 1, J will run N times, ds 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 ds. For I equal to 2, it will run again ds 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 N times. So N plus N plus N, N times becomes N square. So in this case, the function will run for N square times. I think you are clear at this till this moment. Now the point of confusion that you are having is for this case. Okay. Now this is N, this is again N, and the N becomes half the equal time, right? At every iteration, N becomes equal to half. So if N's value is 10, in the next iteration it will become half. So already T1, we can say it prints DS and it becomes half. So let us say 1, and then N size becomes half. It prints DS, printed, this one is 1 second it took. This represents this one, represents that 1 second, and then N's value becomes half. How much it becomes half? 10 by 2. Okay, now it becomes T5. Okay. Now T5 plus 1, which is this one exactly, it will run again forward, it will become 5 by 2. 5 by 2 is basically 2.5, but integer. So we'll cut that 0.5 out. So it will become 1 plus 1. So it will again print 1 plus 1 plus. Yes, it has already printed for earlier time. This is the earlier. This is the new one. It will print and it will become T2. T2 is still greater than 1. 2 is still greater than 1. So it will again print what? 2 will become half, and again 1 will be printed. So again it will become another time DS. Third time. So it will become 1 plus 1 plus 1 times DS. It will print 1 second T2. Then it will become T2 will become half. Now T2 by 1 is equal to how much? 1. So 1, it will now check with this condition. 1 is greater than 1. False, so it will get out of the loop. Till this you have understood that. Okay. Now this you have understood. Now for if N becomes any random number, then what happens? So we know this N by 2 will become how much? N by 2, Tn, N by 2 plus 1. Next iteration will become what? N by 2 by 2. N by 2 by 2 means N by 4. Right? Plus 1. Plus 1 plus 1, that is 2. Okay. So if this procedure continues, N by 8, N by 16, so it is something of a basically what you can say, it's a power of 2. So it is, at some point it will become N by 2 to the power I. Okay. Now this N by 2 to the power I is exactly this T1. Okay. At this point the program stops. So the stops means what is the sign where the program stops? So we know this T1, this one is basically N by 2 to the power I equal to 1. So N by 2 to the power Y equal to 1, if you take it, then I equal to log base 2n is basically how much? So for if you take log base 2, 10. So let us say 10. So it is basically comes approximately to 3. So for n equal to 10, the value will be almost equivalent to 3. So it will print DS 3 times. So the time complexity of this algorithm is basically log base to n. So how many times it will run? Log base to n. Now it's almost, I think you're a little bit clear. If it's still not clear, no issues, right? No again. Not yet understood. No, you can personally chat me also. There's no shame in not understanding. It's my failure. If you're not understood, right? No, I'm not understood. Okay. So if everyone have understood, like everyone, yes. Just write Y. Not write to be yes, yes. Write Y only. Now we go to the next part. Okay. So now you have understood one thing, that this whatever this one happens, this will run only one time. If I put n equal to 10 also, if I put n equal to 1000 also or a million also, but still this program will run one because n doesn't have any significant bearing on this one line of code. So this one is basically, we can say, one. It will maximum one time. Now in this program, it will run n times. Maximum it will run n times. It will run maximum how much? N square times, and this one will run maximum log base to n times. So now, so whenever we say what is the maximum, right? So we can say the maximum might be the worst case time complexity. It will not more run because the program will not run more than the worst. So we can say it is there is the upper bound to this. What is this upper bound? So there is something called asymptotic notation in the computer literature. So in computer literature, when you are speaking about asymptotic notations, these are notations to denote the worst, average, and best case time complexity. The worst case time complexity in this case is the BIGO notation, right? So BIGO notation represents what? The highest degree of the polynomial. So the thing is this, the BIGO asymptotic notation gives us the upper bound idea, mathematically described below. Tn is equal to O of g of n if there exists a positive integer n naught and a positive constant c such that Tn is less than equal to c of g of n for all n greater than equal to n0. This is basically a definition. You cannot remember it. You cannot never remember it. But if you understand it, it is encroached into your heart. It is engraved into your heart and mind. So let us see in all these four cases, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. These are 4 cases, right? Now, what is the worst case time complexity of all of them? So all will run in their worst case time complexity only, right? This will run for one time. This will run for n times. This will run for n square times, and this is for log base to n. But it cannot. This log base to n will not run for n square times. Right. This n square will not run for n cube times because I have limited it. This n times will not run for n square times because there is only one for loop. I have limited it to only one for loop. And this one will run one, whatever the value is n. Billion times also, if I put n equal to billion also, it will run one. Okay. So these worst cases, it will run maximum to maximum one time. So this C of g of n, now C of g of n is that maximum, right? I have defined it to be the maximum, and Tn is the actual time complexity of your algorithm. Tn is the actual time complexity of your algorithm. Now, whatever happens in the world, Tn will not go over n. So if Cgn is n square, right? If the maximum time complexity n square, so Tn can be lesser than n square, but not more than n square. Tn can be n log n, but it cannot go overboard, and it cannot be n cube or n 2.5, right? N to the power 2.5. So Cgn represents basically upper function. So it may happen for a particular value of n naught, n is the input, and for a particular constant c, Tn may be for some time it may be greater than Cn, but for a longer time period when n goes to infinity, so Tn will be always lesser than C of g of n. And this C of g of n or O of g of n represents the big O notation. This is called the big O asymptotic notation. Now I think your idea about asymptotic notation or big O asymptotic notation is very clear. So very important, this will haunt you all your life, big O asymptotic notation. It will haunt all of your life because every product manager, every project leader, every your senior coder will always ask, what is the time complexity of your program, or what is the time complexity of your code, and you will say its time complexity is less than n square. Whenever you say it is less than n square, that means the highest time complexity is big O of n square, but your program will be lesser than that. You have not correctly quantified. Okay, we have correctly quantified is lesser than n square. So big O will be represents the highest time complexity of your idea. Now, since there is the worst case time complexity, because the highest step, so there is something called best case time complexity also. So whatever the highest, whatever the time complexity of a code is, it cannot be best than another another function. So that is what we can call as the big omega. So this is what you can call as the big omega of this one. Now omega h of gn is the what? Is the big omega is what? Big omega notation is what? Now this is the gn function will be always lower than the actual time complexity of algorithm. Tn represents the actual time complexity of your algorithm. And whatever the case, Tn can never be better than C of gn. Now let us go to the previous example. Now this one is the okay, not take this one. Let us, no, there is not a good example for this. I will explain it to you again in another example. So this is one of the examples, right? So your time complexity cannot be less than this one. So let us say this one is n, and Tn, your code is n squared. So it will be always Tn will be always greater than n. So it can be n 1. N to the power 1.2, n point 1.5. It can be n log n. It can be n into n square, n cube, whatever, but it cannot be lesser than n. If CGN represents n time complexity, Tn will never be better than this. Okay, so that is so. There exists the definition is this one. Big O of Gn represents what? Oh, sorry, big omega of Gn represents what? There exists a positive constant C and n naught such that C of g of n will be always lesser than P of n, right? This is very important. So big omega of Gn represents the best case time complexity. It cannot be best. Your program cannot be never best, more better than this best. There is something called theta. What is theta of Gn? Now theta is basically for two constants C1 and C2 of Gn, the Tn will be in between this one. Right, C1 G1 and C2 of Gn. That is how the theta notation represents. So let us say, so the G of n is, let C1 be 10 into n, right? And C2 is 5 into n. So G of n represents the n time complexity. C1n and this one is C2n. So C1 is 10n and this one is 5n. So your Tn will be between all be 6n, 7n, 8n, 9n, but it will never be greater than 10n. That is the worst case time complexity, that is 11n, 10, 20. And it cannot be better than 5n. That is, it cannot be 4n, 3n, 2n like this. So that is what you can call as the theta notation. Now, what is the now this time complexity is used to evaluate the performance of your algorithm. So if your algorithm is very big algorithm, right? and there are some, but if it the problem that you are given in your basically in your programming life, that is a very complicated code, but you can solve it in within O1 times or one asymptotic times, then you can say that your programming code is much better. So even if the n is infinity, but if you can complete it in O1 complexity, then it is called the best. Better than this is the O of log of n, that is good. O of n is fair, O in log n is bad, and worst is this one. These are the exponential time complexity. O n, O of c to the power n, O n c. So these are all representing this one. So these are some of the standard time complexity. So, and these are these are some of the standard time complexity. Right. So I think you have understood. So I think today we will call it quits. So tomorrow, next day, we will try to see a programming code and try to evaluate the time complexity from it. We'll try some real life programming code and try to compute the real life time complexity. What you can do at this moment is that you can write present on your chat box. Write only P. Okay, you can leave the classroom. Any questions?